Ofori looked at the boy sitting before him. He could see how sad and lonely he was. The swollen eyes told of tears, a child saddled with too much grief for his age. But even more disturbing just now was the story of Adu had told him. In the last year, Adu had moved from the primary into the middle school. The two school blocks stood side by side within the same compound. Although Adu was now Although Adu now had a different teacher, Ofori to him was his teacher. It was teacher Ofori who understood him and showed that he loved him. He could tell the teacher anything he wanted, and the teacher listened to him. Are you sure that what you're telling me is true, Adu? It's true, sir. I heard them with my own ears, and even though it was dark, I could see their faces because of the torch they had. Ofori gazed at the boy in disbelief. His mind whirled to his colleague in the school. He had seen him teaching. He had seen him in the class teacher's house. He had seen him on the football field. Then he focused on Adu. And you say you saw Teacher Afram? He was the one holding the torch, and he was the one who dug the place where they hid the things. What about the other person? Have you seen him before? No, sir. I've never seen him before. The news was shocking to Ofori. The crime had already received wild publicity, not only in Burma, but even in the town villages in the district. In the primary school, the matter had been discussed at the staff level. Some of the bigger boys like Charlie had been questioned about their activity in the town. This is serious, Adu. Ofori got up and paced the sitting room. The boy wiped his swollen lips on his shirt sleeves. Adu, Ofori turned back to him. Have you told anybody else about this? No, sir. Good. Let's go to the head teacher's house. Sir, there is something else I want to tell you, okay? Ofori sat down. Adu told him about the dream. To him, it was obvious now who had killed his family. Wasn't it his auntie? And now she was after him. He could feel the spiritual battle now. Have you dreamed this way before? Ofori asked the shivering boy. Yes, sir. 2 years ago, just before my parents died, in that dream, the leopard almost got me. Ofori thought for some time. It's a spiritual battle, no doubt, he said. But don't, he hesitated. He wanted to dissuade the boy from calling his auntie a witch or associating her with the leopard in the dream. But he refrained from it. The devil, he knew, could use anybody who would let himself be used. What Adu had seen in his dream was not mere imagination. He took his Bible and read the first letter of John. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, the evil spirits, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. Ofori explained. There is a constant battle between the powers of the darkness and the power of light. Only those who are in Christ within this battle will win this battle. But, Adu asked, why was the leopard unable to approach Yaro and me in the dream? Yaro was a man of God. The leopard, the power of evil, could not approach you because it saw the power that was in the name of God. The verse I've just read you says that the one who is in the children of God, that is the Spirit of Christ, is greater than the one who is outside. The spirit of the devil, Ofori played for the boy, but the boy was scared. The truth of the struggle dawned on him only gradually. Why was he the target of this struggle? He asked himself. What's wrong had he done? He still troubled, even as they left for the head teacher's house. Motorway glared at the door for a long time. Seated in his living room were Ofori and Adu. They had just told him about Afram and the other thief. He pushed back his glasses and ran his palms across his bald head. Adu was sitting in his head teacher's living room for the first time. On the two walls opposite hung photographs of tractors plowing large fields of what he guessed to be the rice but was actually wheat. The other picture was a poster of David killing Goliath the giant. Yero had once told him the story. The picture showed giant Goliath heavily armored but falling, with little David swinging a sling, the type that his father used to drive birds away. Yarrow had told him how the stone from David's sling had made the giant's armor useless and added, David went to the war against Goliath in the name of the living God and defeated him. No matter how small or big you are, you will win your battles if you battle in the name of the living God. Let's inform the chief about it, Ofori suggested. Motorola thought for some time and then said, isn't there a way to prevent this from public hearing? How could we do that? Ofori asked doubtfully. Supposing Motor began, but saw Adu looking keenly at him and stopped. Adu, he addressed the weary boy, take his chair and wait outside there. We shall call you later. Yes, sir. Adu took the chair and went out. The head teacher leaned forward and said quietly, it's important that he doesn't hear everything, Mr. Ofori. Yes. And what happened to his lips? He had a row with his auntie again. He has a problem at home. Ofori briefed him on Adu's relationship with his aunt. Poor boy. Now, as I was saying, suppose we contacted Afram himself to find out. I have thought about it, but what if he denies any knowledge of it? And he's sure to deny it or you're right. If we succeed in settling this matter, I tell you, Afram will have to be transferred. Motorway was angry. He added, I suggest that we inform the chief, then secretly keep watch over the spot until we can catch them red-handed. Otherwise, there is no way of making Afram and his friend admit the crime. All right, but first we should go and check it ourselves. Minutes later, Motorway, Ofori and Adu were on their way to the stream. They went to the chief's linguist. He was dark and tall, with his mustache that made him look fierce. His heavy eyebrows and thick lips caused a chill within Adu. He wore a fading kente cloth, with the folds gathered upon his right shoulder, as he was left-handed man. Left-handed people, it was said, were hot-tempered but cowards. This man was the opposite. He was known he was known to be calm, patient and courageous. Behind his ferocious appearance was a man of wisdom. People of Burma said he was the strongest man in the royal family and that he virtually ruled the land. People who wanted to talk to the chief must first talk to the linguist. Teachers were important people in Burma. looked upon with respect by the elders. The chief's linguist was happy to see the head teacher. What brings such honorment to us today? We have some important news for the chief. Motorway began, and we thought the sun should not go to sleep until the chief has had it. People often came to the chief's linguist with tribal matters, some of which never reached the chief. He thought that he should perhaps listen to this one and quench it, as he had done to so many matters. What is it? He asked. Matue turned to Ofori and asked him to speak. Ofori began to tell Adu's story, how he went down to the stream in order to run away from his auntie. When Ofori said that Adu had seen where the thieves who broke into the royal grave had hidden their booty, the chief's linguist gave a shocked and excited shout. The theft had brought unwelcome attention to his position as a key man in the royal palace, and there had been subtle criticism from others, from those who wished his downfall. If he were to be able to catch the thieves and retrieve the missing things, he would not only consolidate his position and shame his enemies, but also win the chief's favor and the admiration of the people of Burma. Here then was honey about to drip onto his tongue. He must open his mouth. Are you sure that what you're saying is true? He asked. It is linguistic, Motorway replied. We have gone to see the place where they buried the treasure. The linguistic nodded. Calmly, hiding his inner excitement, he asked, do you know, head teacher, that rumors which stray into the chief's ears are punishable by a heavy fine if they are found to be false? I know, but we've been to the place and the freshly dug earth is visible. Supposing we dig the place and find it to contain nothing or something that has nothing to do with the stolen items. We've thought about that, linguistic, Ofori replied. We suggest an ambush. People should be sent to watch the place, and if it takes a whole year before the thieves return for their things, they had not thought about it. Ado spoke out of the first time for the first time. I heard them say they would return for the items in 3 days' time to change their hiding place. The linguistic appeared convinced. He agreed that he would provide men to keep watch that very night, but something else was worrying Motowe. He was about to speak when the linguistic asked, shall I tell the chief about this? Ofori answered, we would rather that you wait until the thieves are called. All right, go and get ready. Be back here before sundown and take my men with you. May I say this, linguistic? Asked Motowe. The question you asked a while ago about whether we knew what is buried is important. You're right. We cannot guarantee without doubt that the hole contains items. We may catch them, but if the things they buried are not the chief's properties, what will happen? I've appreciated your efforts, my friends, the linguistic said, raising up. If it all turns out to be false, since you said I should not inform the chief, I will treat it as nothing. We will forget about it. Thank you, Motowe said, relieved. Ofori was almost trotting. He was eager to get to Becky's house. Their appointment had almost been ruined by the incident with Ado. He hoped that Becky would still be at home. When he got there, he decided to play a trick. He opened her door slowly without knocking. Becky was there, facing her open window. She had the door open and didn't turn to look. She knew who it was. She had seen from the window. Ofori stood behind her for some time, expecting her to turn and look at her, but she didn't. Ofori took advantage of this to admire her. He was about to ask Becky to be his wife. Becky turned. Ofori had been smiling, but Becky looked serious. For a brief moment, the two lovers looked into each other's eyes. "You did a good thing," Becky said, looking at Ofori with the same serious expression. "We had a big matter that made me leave in a hurry," Ofori explained. "I thought I would come soon." "Oh, a big matter, I see. Then you should have told me yesterday when you asked me to wait for you that it wasn't to hear anything that was a big matter." Her anger showed in her flashing eyes and in the tightness of her lips. It was it was to hear a big matter, Becky, Ofori said, approaching her. "A matter bigger than you're prepared to hear." He held her by the waist and drew her close. Becky did not resist. "I love you," Ofori said. Becky just looked at him. "I said I love you." Becky remained silent. Then Ofori saw that her eyes were full of tears. Ofori took her in her arms. "Becky, I love you, and I want you to be my wife." Becky said. Gently, she unclasped his hands from around her hips and went to sit down. Ofori remained at the window looking out. "Sit down," Becky said. Ofori turned to look at her, but kept standing by the window. "Will you marry me?" he asked. "Where were you?" "We have a big case at hand, Becky. I was on my way here when Adu came to me, claiming that he saw two thieves last night, whom he thought were the grave thieves." "Really?" "Yes. And guess what? We went to the head teacher, and together we went to where Adu saw them bury the treasures. From there, we went to the chief's linguistic to report it." "You did all that?" Becky said slowly. Ofori nodded. "I lost my temper." Becky spoke the words softly and slowly. "I'm sorry." She fell silent. "Becky," Ofori said again, "I asked you if you would marry me." Ofori waited. Becky rose up slowly and went and stood by the window. There was a long pause. Becky said, "Yes." She said it very softly, but Ofori heard it. The people of Wama were about to go to bed that night when an unusual noise was heard from the center of town. The sound suggested that the mob had been convened. Ado thought he knew what was happening. He rose up and went out. People were rushing from their houses towards the chief's palace. Ado followed them to the chief's compound, just in time to see teacher Afam and his colleague being shoved into ground the guard room. While people asked what was happening, Adu nodded and went back to the house. Everybody in Burma waited for the day of judgment with eagerness. The chief's counter room was packed to capacity, with more people standing outside and craning their necks to catch a glimpse of and the school teacher. Afram, the school teacher, and his friend, both had done the abominable thing in Burma. Although the people had done Although the people had heard of graves being broken into, that was news from distant lands. It did not happen here in Burma. This was the most grievous offense ever committed on their own land. But many were disappointed. They were expecting a prolonged trial in which arguments would go back and forth to try to find out the details of the crime. But instead of Chief's linguistic address the people in the chief's compound, teacher Afram and his friend, he told them, had admitted their guilt. The chief and his elders had agreed to hand the matter over to the police. That was that. As the crowd dispersed to their homes and working places, some were indignant. They wanted to see the culprits punished according to the traditions of the people. They were sure the police would find a way of freeing the thieves. I will not be surprised, one elder said to another, if tomorrow we see those two men roaming about here as free men.